Sony's second console turned 20 not too long ago. Let's take a look back at the legendary console 20 years later. Announced in March of 1999 and later released in the beginning of the new millennium, Sony's new console was a force to be reckoned with. To give some context, another very important console from Sega, the Dreamcast, released 2 years earlier, brought in $95 million at launch. The PS2 topped at over $250 million at launch. That's over double of the Dreamcast's earnings. While the PS2 is very impressive in terms of performance, two very important factors of the console are what led to its success. One was that it wasn't just a gaming console, it was a DVD player. The PS2 came out in a time when watching media on DVD was very popular. But if you wanted to watch anything on this medium, you'd have to pay quite the premium for a DVD player, which was still brand new then. But when the PS2 joined the party, I'd have to assume things changed drastically. Why pay over $1,000 for a single used DVD player when you can get not only a DVD player, but a gaming machine as well for only $200 to $300? Backwards compatibility was another big factor. This concept was again fairly new at the time, not the first, but the idea that you could play your PS1 games on a newer console, making it perform better, was a big deal. Moving forward in time, Microsoft hopped into the console space with their first console, the Xbox. The Xbox was essentially a PC inside of a custom case with a modified version of Windows ME. You may think I'm joking about this being a PC, but the disk reader was in the standard size of what a computer would use, and it had an internal hard drive. The PS2 would soon also have support for an internal hard drive around the same time. Online multiplayer was also introduced through Xbox Live. As well received as the Xbox was, and recently released GameCube, it was no DVD player and the PS2 was still beating out the GameCube and Xbox in sales. Now at this point, the next generation is about to roll out. Sony's lost their edge this time around, as while both the PS3 and 360 were prone to failure early on, the 360 still came out on top. Then the Wii dropped, and let's just say that it'd be an understatement saying that it did very well. By now, Sony released what I think is the most impressive slimmed down console. The PS2 Slim shared a similar design language with its bigger brother. The power supply was made external, it had a built-in Ethernet port, but you did give up the chance to install an internal hard drive, and a few PS1 games would no longer work. To be fair, the PS2 was made in the late 90s and technology was advancing very rapidly, so an innovation like this may not seem too impressive, but I used to have a Slim and I've been inside of a Fat before, and I'm not joking when I say this. If you hollowed out a Fat console, I believe two Slims could fit inside of its shell. The PS2 Slim was one of, if not the most smallest non-portable consoles from what I've ever seen. By now, various games were added to the PS2 library, such as Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, Gran Turismo 3 and 4, additions to the Final Fantasy series, Burnout 3, Ratchet & Clank, and many others. The size of the PS2 library was definitely no slouch. Speaking of slouch, you'd think that since the PS3 was around, the PS2 wasn't as popular, but you'd be wrong. The 360 was definitely the winner this generation, and the Wii was in an entirely different plane of existence, but the PS2 was still very successful throughout the PS3's lifetime. Coming to the end of what I like to think of as the last meaningful console generation, the PS2 was now on its way out after surviving 2 generations. But when Sony released the PS4 in 2013, a game for that same console that was released the next year was also made for the PS2. And it wasn't just one game either. Though I find this interesting as the PS2 was killed off in 2012. As successful as the Wii was, the PS2 still outsold literally every single console during its lifetime. Modifying the PS2 with Homebrew was also a great way to unlock its full potential. I've done a soft mod on my fat PS2 with FreeMcBoot. This is a soft mod that's installed onto the memory card that allows loading games off of a USB drive, hard drive, and other locations, and emulation now becomes possible. This is great if you want to install a game you own onto a hard drive, as it's much faster that way. This is an awesome feature, but when it comes to emulation, keep looking. If you want to play PS2 games in 2020, then you can't go wrong with a cheap PS2. But if you want to emulate older consoles, while the PS2 is fairly capable, its weird hardware unfortunately makes it only good for playing PS1 and PS2 games. Playing a Sega CD game on the PS2 is pretty painful. My old 3DS XL has no trouble though, and it's a 3DS. If you're looking for a cheap console for Homebrew, the original Xbox will probably be a better option. From the classic boot animation to its massive library, the PlayStation 2 left quite the legacy. There's more about this console you probably don't even know about, like the Japan-only PSX. No, not PS1, I mean PSX, which was intended for media consumption and had an XMB UI before the PS3. There was even a PS2 TV. Again guys, it was literally a DVD player. Consoles will never be as special as the PS2, or let alone any console before the PS4 and Xbox One era. I got a Slim from my cousin who reluctantly gave it up. He wasn't too happy about it to be honest, and then I traded it for a fat console from a friend. Some of my favorite games came from the pre-PS4 and Xbox One era, such as Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast and Sonic Mega Collection Plus, which were both on the PlayStation 2. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's trip down memory lane. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comment section and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you did enjoy the video, hit that like button, but if not, you know where to go. While you're there, consider subscribing to the channel and enable notifications for more quality tech videos. Don't forget to wish the PS2 a happy birthday, and I'll see you later.